I cannot personally believe that I'm talking about this. I have been avoiding talking about this for years because I don't want to deal with the backlash that comes with it. I have been silenced in the sense of you don't talk about Greek life. If you talk about Greek life, you are going to experience backlash from people of an entire organization. And that is not something that I've ever just wanted to deal with or that I felt like I was strong enough to deal with. But I've been thinking about it lately. It's just been coming into my spirit more and more lately. And people have been asking for my side of the story. What was my experience like? And I just say, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not ready to talk about it. I'm not ready to talk about it. But I was talking to my husband about it. And I just decided to say, you know what? Whatever. Like, I deal with backlash and hate every single day on the internet. And at this point, what's another reason for people to be angry at me? Might as well just pile it on. Uh, but yeah, so I'm gonna share my experience about what I went through in college and afterwards with my pledging process with Delta Sigma Theta. Woo, yeah, awesome. But before I get into that, I want to say a few disclaimers. A few disclaimers here. One, this is not an attempt for me to bash any chapter, any organization, get anyone shut down or arrested. I'm not taking any action, legal action or anything toward I don't care enough. I say that very kindly. I don't care enough in order to make a big deal out of this. If this video gets used as ammunition for to shut down a chapter or whatever it is, that's not my fault. I'm just simply sharing my experience and my story. And if they see that that is a reason to take some type of action against a certain chapter or against the organization or whatever it is, and that's just what it is, all I can do is share my truth. And that's all I'm here to do. Um, Two, I'm not denouncing. So this is not a video of me denouncing. I personally want to, at some point in my life, get to a point where I consider being a part of a graduate chapter. I've heard great things about grad chapter, that there are women who finally got to experience the sisterhood that they never got in undergrad through a graduate chapter. And I would love that because I've already put so much time, energy, and money into this organization, and it is a lifetime commitment at the end of the day. So I would love to at least go experience a grad chapter, but I have not been able to because I've been so traumatized by my undergraduate experience. So I have not been wanting to even give it a shot. I just haven't made space for it in my life yet because I'm going through my own healing journey. So this is not me denouncing. Okay, I have nothing against the organization. I'm just sharing my experience. Three, I am sharing my experience for two reasons. One, because I understand, well, three reasons. One, because I understand that other people may have had also similar traumatizing experiences, but they don't want to speak out about it. There was a time where I did make a video about, just like a brief video about my Greek life experience, and I had people from all different chapters from all over the nation, from all organizations across NPHC, um, reaching out to me and telling me, hey, I've had a similar experience. Thank you so much for speaking out. But they were too afraid to speak out themselves because, once again, you do not speak out about Greek life unless you want to get crucified. Okay. And not everybody wants to deal with that. So I completely understand why people wouldn't want to do that. But I've gotten to a place in my journey and with my platform and the support that I have that I really don't care about being crucified anymore. And because I'm one of the few people that had a traumatic experience, but also has the support and, frankly, the balls to speak out about it, I feel like it's kind of my duty to do so. The second reason is because there are people who haven't pledged yet, but who are considering it, but all they hear about is rainbows and butterflies because that's all that people talk about. Again, people are afraid to talk about the bad things, which is why I'm doing this. The third reason why I'm doing this is because I need to for me. I need to for me. I have been silenced for so long, and I feel like that is a disruption in my healing. If you guys know me, if you are familiar with me, I speak truth. I speak up about my experiences. If there's something traumatic that I went through, I talk about it, and that's why I'm able to heal it. Healing is found through sharing your experiences and finding community and finding support in the people who have had similar experiences. So this is for me. I feel like my silence has done nothing but hold me back in my healing journey. So I'm speaking up about this to set myself free, to finally put this to bed. Okay. Disclaimer number 4, I think it's number 4, is if you are a part of the chapter that I was a part of, and I'm purposefully not saying the name of the chapter because it's not about the chapter, right? But of course, if you want to know that bad, you can always go find it. But you know who you are. You know who you are. So for my line sisters, my pro fights, the advisor, my neos, do not reach out to me if you don't care about me. And I say that with so much love because there have been times where you guys have reached out to me, but it wasn't from a place of trying to understand at all, trying to see my perspective and trying to be there for your sister. It was from a place of trying to ridicule me, trying to bully me, trying to insult me, trying to take your feelings about what I said and about my experience out on me because you don't want to take accountability for the part that you played in my trauma. It was about trying to silence me. It was about trying to invalidate me. And I'm just too grown for that. Like, why? I understand that you may be angry or upset about anything that I say, but that's not my problem. You didn't care when I was upset or angry or anxious or depressed about the things that you were doing to me, the things that you were saying to me. You didn't care then. So why care now? Moment of silence so you can really take that in before you even fix your fingers to text me or call me. Don't. If you text me and I even feel the energy of negativity, I'm deleting it and all of your work would have gone to waste. So just don't do it. But anyway, now that those disclaimers are out of the way, I think that's everything. But I will, if there's anything else, I will bring it back up. So let's get into the story. Let's start from the beginning. So the beginning is why I even wanted to join Delta in the first place. So coming into college, I knew nothing about Greek life. I had no Greeks in my family. I do have an aunt that is an AKA, but she married into the family when I was like in high school, and we never really talked about Greek life. So I never really learned about her experience. I knew nothing about it going into college. And for those that know Greek life, there are a lot of social rules that you're supposed to follow, but no one's supposed to talk about them either. So it's like you're just supposed to know the rules, even if no one's supposed to tell you, which is backwards within itself. But that is part of the reason why I got so hung up at times and why I got in trouble so much with the sorority, but because I was simply ignorant, but no one actually took out the time to educate me. They just crucified me for being ignorant, which isn't fair. But anyway, I went into college knowing nothing about Greek life. Now, from the moment that I think within the first month of being in college, I was diagnosed with depression and generalized anxiety disorder, a severe case of generalized anxiety disorder at that. And at the end of my freshman year, I tried to take my own life. So that's just me telling you what I was going through. Also, towards the end of my freshman year, I got into a relationship with a narcissist, and I knew nothing about narcissism. I knew nothing about the signs, the red flags, anything like that. I grew up in the early 2000s. In the 2010s, Black people still did not talk about mental illness. We did not talk about mental health. It was still a taboo, right? So I went into this abusive relationship that only worsened my depression and my anxiety, only worsened my self-esteem. It got to a point where I was completely stripped away from my friends, from community, from organizations, because I was brainwashed into believing that I was not worthy of friends, that I was not worthy of love, and that nobody loved me and cared about me more than my ex. And so I withdrew into this hole. I ended up moving out of my apartment with my roommates, who were there, who were trying to be there for me, who were trying to be supportive for me, into my ex's apartment. So I would literally go to class and then come to his apartment and just be with him all of the time. I was completely excommunicated away from anyone who could tell me anything different, and I was programmed every single day into believing that I was worthless, that I was nothing, that I was never going to find anything better, that I was crazy, that I'm the one that was making him act the way that he was. All of this, right? So that just puts you into the place that I was in my sophomore year of college. Like, I was getting to a place where I was so depressed that I was crying in the bathrooms in between classes or in hallways, and people would find me. Or I remember one time I blacked out and threw up in the middle of class because I wasn't eating, because I was so depressed. I was literally skin and bones. Okay. So the first day that I decided that I wanted to be a Delta, it was actually a very specific experience, and I will share a video of what happened with you here. But I was performing a poem. So on campus, I was known for performing poetry about my battles with mental health and about my trauma growing up and all of these things. That's what I was known on campus for. So I had a poetry performance, and beforehand, my ex had called me all sorts of names. I think we got into a fight about something. I don't know. But I walked into this event, and by this point, I had already didn't have any friends. I was completely taken away from my friends, and the people that were my friends were there, and I could just feel their eyes on me. I looked at their table. There was no room for me. So I just ended up sitting at a table with strangers, with my ex. And I was already nervous because I felt like I was about to get on stage and be vulnerable, share art with people, and I didn't have any support. But I got up there anyway. And when I got up there was this one woman. Shout out to you. You know who you are. I love you so much. But she was a Delta. And she was a part of this organization with me called the Live Poet Society, where we used to just go and write poems together and then perform at events together. So when I got up there to perform, she yelled at me and was like, "Speak, poet, we see you."
All right, girl. I see you. Speak, poet.
And when I tell you, that made me want to burst into tears, because I felt like in one of my lowest moments, you can literally see I'm skin and bones. It's one of my lowest moments. I had the love and support of someone who happened to be a Delta. And on top of that, when she went up there to perform her poem, her line sisters were like going crazy for her, supporting her, like yelling and clapping and snapping for her. And when she got off stage, they were loving her and hugging her. And she like was sitting among them, and they were just such a unit. And that wasn't the first time that I had seen them on campus. Like, they went everywhere together. They supported each other at every single event. And I was like, man, I want that. Imagine where I'll put yourself in my shoes for a second. And just imagine being where I was and looking at that. I was like, I want that. Period. I want that love. I want that sisterhood. I want that support. Like, I want to be a part of something like that. So that was the day that I decided that I wanted to go Greek. Now, I want you guys to recognize that the Deltas were the only sorority that was on our campus. The AKAs had gotten kicked off my freshman year. The SG Rows had not had a line in I don't know how long, and the Zetas were never incorporated. I don't think they were ever incorporated. So, the Deltas were the only sorority on campus. So if I wanted to pledge, Delta was literally my only option. So my experience of what Greek life was supposed to be was solely through Delta. I did not know anything about how other sororities operated or anything like that. So after I finally left my ex-boyfriend, I started to reincorporate myself into society, into organizations, into Greek life culture, started going to more events, getting to know people, talking to people, and just kind of getting my groove back, figuring out who I am and learning to have fun and how to make friends and just be around people again. And some of the first people that I connected with was the alphas. And like I had such great individual relationships with some of the alphas. And I just want to say, if you are watching this, I love you. Regardless of what happened over the years and all of the mess that we went through, you guys were there for me before I was popular, before I pledged, when I was at the lowest moment of my life. Y'all saw me, y'all saw my light, y'all saw my personality, and you loved me through it. And for that, I am forever grateful to you guys. Okay, you know who you are. But anyway, the alphas like really took me in and were like genuinely, individually my friends. Like they genuinely cared about me. And they were the ones where I opened up to them about how I wanted to be a Delta, but I knew nothing about Greek life. So they would try to educate me in the best way that they could. But there was only so much that they could tell me, too, right? But they were the ones that were really like trying to push me to, you should definitely go for it. Like they loved their alpha experience. So they're like, you should go for it. You should do it. And they also convinced me to do Miss Black and Gold, which I was terrified to do, but I did it and I ended up winning. And then the next weekend, I competed for Miss Black and Gold of the entire state at one of their district conferences, and I ended up winning that, which I was completely shocked about. So I started my junior year on such a high, where for the first time in my life, I was experiencing a popularity that I had never ever experienced before. I was bullied in high school. I didn't really have any friends in high school. So I did not know what it was like to be popular. Like I came back from winning those pageants and people were saying hey to me on campus. And I'm like, who are you? Like congratulating me and stuff like that. So I'm getting a taste of what it's like to really get integrated back into society and get integrated back into Greek life. Now, let me get a sip of water before I start talking about how it went bad. So that was fall of my junior year. I heard through the grapevine that the Deltas were coming out with a line in spring of my junior year. So I made it a point to especially go to and when I tell you, I went to all of their events. And if they had like competitions, I was trying to win them. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a scavenger hunt on campus. I'm running in a skirt and slides. Okay. I was going to win. Okay. Like I was literally such a diehard, like be out as they call it. Where I really, really tried to impress them, really tried to get their attention, really tried to show them who I am and show my personality. On top of that, like I was doing community service several times a week. I had way more than the minimum amount of community service hours that you needed to pledge. I had a 4.0 cumulative GPA. So I was a junior in mechanical engineering, one of the hardest majors at one of the hardest schools in the nation, to get an A at. I think it was ranked at some point. In one of the hardest disciplines, and I had a 4.0 GPA after 4 semesters. Okay, that's neither here or there. But anyway, so that I was in 3 different honor societies, national honor societies. I had like cabinet positions in one of them. I had a cabinet position in another organization. Like when I tell you I had all of the credentials, I was heavily involved. I was creating impact. I told you like something that I stood for was mental health wellness. So that's what I was actively putting together like events for. Especially with my title as Miss Black and Gold. Like when I got to do events, I would do stuff centered around mental health wellness. Like I was an active contributor in the community and on campus. I had no reason to be denied. That was my point. I was making it a point to where I had no reason to be denied. Now, y'all, during the semester, as I was trying to get their attention, this is a red flag that I should have noticed, but I just thought this was the culture. Again, I was green. I just thought this was the culture. But excuse my French, the Deltas were assholes. Like, they were assholes to me. Like, did not talk to me. When I walk in the room, they looking at me like, giving me stank face, like whispering about me while looking dead at me type stuff, like purposefully ignoring me, purposefully skipping over me and doing things. And I was green. I did not understand why they did not like me, or why they just had an issue with me. Especially because I don't feel like I did anything wrong. Um, but they just did not like me. I remember there was this one time where I went to meet the Greeks, and again, I'm green, y'all. And there were some AKAs from another school that were there talking about AKA, and everybody was quiet, like dead silent. Nobody was asking them any questions or anything. So I kind of felt bad. I was like, well, damn, like they came all the way here and nobody's saying anything to them. Nobody's talking to them. Nobody's asking them any questions. So I was just like raising my hand. Like, that's just the type of person that I am. And I was like, hey, you know, are the AKs ever coming back to this campus? And they were like, we don't know. Like, they just kind of answered kind of casually. But from then on out, everybody just thought I wanted to be an AKA. Like, that was just, and like looking back is like ridiculous as hell, right? But from then on, I learned later down the line that was one of the reasons why my pro-fights, who were, the members at the time, did not like me, and completely like avoided me and did not want to talk to me and stuff like that. Like, from my understanding, I learned later that the other B outs, they had at least one person that was in the chapter that like supported them and told them about things, let them know about things, and like, made them feel welcome and like they had a spot. Nobody, and I mean nobody, did that for me. There was not a single active member of the organization. Like, the girl who was in Live Poet Society with me, she wasn't active. And I had a Delta roommate my sophomore year, but again, I was living with my ex most of the time, so I didn't really get to know her. And she also had a terrible, terrible experience, but she never really told me about it. And she never really discouraged me from pledging. So I didn't have anyone to vouch for me. I didn't have anyone to educate me. I was just out there by myself, doing it and figuring it out along the way. But I did not know why they just hated me. I just thought that that's just how they treated everybody. Like, I didn't know that it was towards me. It wasn't until I actually applied, until it came time around to apply for the organization, that I learned that it was deeper than just this is what they do for everybody. So, the flyer that they put out there, they put it up, they hide it somewhere, and you don't really know about the flyer for the orientation unless someone tells you about it. And a lot of the people, the active members, were telling the B outs that they actually wanted to be a part of the organization, telling them about the orientation, but nobody else. So they left it up for like an hour and maybe took it down. And the only reason why I found out about it was because one of my alpha friends sent it to me in the middle of class. And I remember I said that if the Deltas end up having a line this semester, I was going to drop that class. So he literally sent me the flyer. I'm in the middle of the class and I get the text message and I stand up and I walk out and I drop the class. Because I'm thinking in my head, I have literally all of the qualifications. Again, a 4.0 GPA over the amount of the community service hours. I've got all of my letters, all of my recommendations together in order. I've been studying. I know everything to a T. I'm super involved. Like, my resume is long. Okay, there's absolutely no way they can deny me. Y'all, I made sure that packet was clean. I double, triple, quadruple, like 5, 6, 7 times. I would take the papers out of the packet, check them, put them back in the packet, take it out, check them, put them back in the packet. Like, I sent it to the soror that wrote my recommendation letter and I told her to check it. Like, I literally made sure that my packet was pristine. And I got rejected. I surely did. I got rejected. And I remember the day that I got that rejection letter, I was bawling. I did not understand. I didn't know what was going on. I never even got the chance to do an interview. That's the thing. Like, I had other friends who were, applying as well, and they had been called to do their interviews, and they got their interviews, and that I was like, okay, well, maybe my interview is just coming. Maybe my interview is just, it's going to come, right? No, I never even got an interview. I just got a rejection letter in the mail. And I remember crying, calling my, the soror who wrote my letter, crying, and she was like, I don't understand. And I was like, I don't understand either. And she was just like, I'm gonna figure it out. So a few weeks later, um, some girl, they ended up having a second round of interviews for girls who ended up getting rejected and never got an interview. So they interviewed about 10 girls, and 2 of us were selected to be on the line. And I was one of them. Now, we will go into a whole there's details that I'm leaving out about this. Like there was other people involved, even pro fights that were involved who didn't understand why I got rejected either. And I did not find out why I was rejected until years later. So just imagine going into it knowing that the only reason, in my head, the only way that I could have gotten rejected is if the chapter member said no to me, right? So in my head, with no one telling me, I knew that the chapter member said no when my name came across the table. But I did not figure out why they said no until years later when a pro fight that was in the room told me. And the reason why I got rejected is because I was a mental health advocate on campus, and they thought that if I was going through the process that I wouldn't be able to handle it. They rejected me because of my battles with mental health. Even though I was someone who was an advocate for it, trying to help others, trying to, change the stigma around mental health illnesses. And one of their pillars, one of the organization's pillars is physical and mental health, right? So I even went into my interview, I went into it with the intentions of, this is my platform that I really want to dig into. This is how I want to contribute to Delta. And I got rejected because of my mental health. And that's just the beginning. So, the pledging process, the actual process of being online, that wasn't even the traumatizing part. I know that people put a lot of pressure on that part of the experience, but that wasn't even the traumatizing part for me. It's not that it wasn't hard. It's just that at that time, at least I had my line sisters. I felt like me and my line sisters were more connected than we've ever been. We were closer than we've ever been when we were online. And that's because we were all excited. We were all really bought into the vision of being a line, and being a sisterhood. So I felt like we really supported each other. We really had each other's back. When I was online, that was literally the experience that I had been wanting. That sisterhood, that love, that support that I had been wanting. That's what I got when I was online. The issues did not come until after. Now, y'all, if I sat here and told you about all the traumatizing things that happened to me during my experience as a Delta, we would be here all day. And even then, I can't even remember half the things because I have suppressed them. One of my PTSD coping mechanisms is that my brain forgets things because they're just too painful to process. So I don't remember a lot of what happened, I'll be honest. But I'm going to explain the overall vibe, and then I will give you 3 very specific instances. The 3 strikes that made me say F all this. I'm done. Okay. So the overall vibe. I remember the week before my probate, or my new initiate presentation, my NIP, um, I had to go to Orlando because I had to compete. I was Miss Black and Gold for the whole state. So I had to go compete on the regional level for the entire southern region, right? So the week before my presentation, I had to go on this trip. No, it wasn't Orlando. It was Tennessee, Memphis. Um anyway, I had to go to their conference and compete for the regional title. Now, I was supposed to win. I just gotta put that out there. I was supposed to win. And the reason why I know I was supposed to win is because the district director came back a year later when I went to go hand off my crown for the state. He came back because he was one of the judges at regionals. And he said, I just want you to know that all of those judges there said that they wanted you to win. And the only reason why you did not win is because someone failed to submit your transcript. So the portion of the pageant that was supposed to be for scholarship, where I was supposed to get, full points because I had a 4.0 GPA, I ended up getting a 0 because no one submitted my transcript, which wasn't my responsibility. It was some confusion whether it was supposed to be the chapter or the district, whatever. But I didn't win. So that was already like a dampener on me because I didn't place at all because I got a 0 in one of the highest ranked sections in the pageant. So it was just really depressing for me. So I was already sad, but then I was also already sad because I was missing the most important weekend right before the NIP, where we're learning the most information, we're learning the most poems, we're getting the most practice in, right? And I'm missing it. I'm not there. I can't be there with my sisters, and that's where I want it to be. So when we were driving back, I'm riding back with, some of the alphas. And I got headphones in and I'm listening to the poems. Like my sisters are sending me all of the poems and the stuff that they're learning. And I'm listening to them over and over again because I don't want to be behind. I want to make sure that I have them all memorized for the probate the next week. And I didn't know that it was a secret which poems we were doing, especially because they were the same poems that all of the pro fights had done. Like they're literally on YouTube from other probates that had happened in the past. So I didn't know that was like a secret. But one of the alphas asked me if we were doing a specific poem. I can't remember what poem it was, but I mean, it was a poem that all the pro fights had been doing. And I told him that no, we weren't doing it because I think it was banned nationally for Delta. I didn't know that was a secret. Is that a secret? Like, what? Especially they would find out the next week that we weren't doing the poem. And I figured, like, if this is banned on a national scale, what is it a secret for? But I told them that. And of course they knew that I was online. They were the reason that I was online in the first place. But anyway, so after we had crossed and everything, and we had these things called lemon squeezes. God, oh my God, trauma. We had these things called lemon squeezes. And lemon squeezes are this thing where the members of the chapter, sometimes our advisor is there, sometimes the pro fights are there, sometimes it's just us, but we all come together to express our grievances with each other in a private location so that nobody else outside of our organization would be in our business. Lemon squeezes, basically a chance for all of us to yell at each other and oh my God. Anyway, so we had our first lemon squeeze after we had pledged, after we had officially crossed, and boy, was I the topic, because they were saying that somebody heard from one of the alphas that that we weren't doing that poem at the probate because Delta had banned it. And now, Linnea, you telling too much of our business. Linnea, you too close to the alphas. You need to stop talking to them, blah, 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 blah. Like, and these lemon squeezes were hours long of people just on you, multiple people on your head. And you sitting there having 4, 5, 6, 7 people yelling at you for whatever you did. And you're there to defend yourself. Every now and again, I had 1 or 2 line sisters to step in to defend me, but then they would get dragged too, right? So it just got to a point where I just felt like I was alone and I was getting dragged consistently. And let me tell y'all, this wasn't just the first lemon squeeze. Oh no, it was not the first lemon squeeze. Every lemon squeeze, every single fucking lemon squeeze, my name came up in some type of way or capacity. It was something Linnea said, something Linnea did, something Linnea wore, some opinion Linnea had that wasn't like everybody else's. Something. So I swear to God, every single lemon squeeze was about me in some capacity. So imagine every week or every other week, you go in a room full of 20 women and you have a handful of them just yelling at you, telling you about how you're not doing this right. You need to stop doing this, blah, 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 getting at you. Like, and then you have the rest of them just sitting there looking, being bystanders. You just get to a point where you just stop defending yourself. You just get to a point where you're just like, okay. And then what makes it even worse about this is that they ingrain in your brain that you are literally, it's your chapter versus everybody else. Meaning that all you have is your sisters. Again, you're not supposed to talk about it. So after I leave these lemon squeezes, I'm leaving defeated. I'm leaving angry. I'm leaving anxious. I'm leaving sad. I'm leaving like feeling so bad about myself, feeling low self-confidence, feeling terrible about myself. And I can't even go talk to anybody about it. I can't even go talk to anybody about it except for my line sisters who are going through the same thing. They're literally getting brainwashed just like I am into believing that this is okay. So just imagine like being in a situation where you are getting criticized for every little thing that you say or do. And I mean little things. I remember one time I was sitting in my car and I was just kicking it. My car is my safe space. It is my sanctuary. I was kicking it before I was going into the library to do some studying. And I saw some AKAs. They were online at the time. But some girls dressed in black walked past my car. And I was just like, okay, whatever. So I got out and I went into the library. And now there's a whole hoopla about how Linnea was spying on AKAs. When I tell you literally everything I did, everything I said was looked at under a microscope and criticized because they were so worried about me making the chapter look bad. They were so worried about our image to everybody else that they had to tear me down and stifle me and silence me just so I wouldn't quote unquote embarrass them for just being my damn self. So I was basically convinced that me just being myself, me just speaking my mind, me just having friends was a problem. So imagine how that made me feel. Imagine how my self-confidence. Now I feel like I have to change who I am and try to be more like them just so I can fit in, just so they won't bully me. Just so they would leave me alone. And even when I did that, even when I tried to hang out with them and I tried to like fit in and I tried to be like them, it was still a problem. I still wasn't like them. I still wasn't like them enough. So that's just the whole vibe. That was the whole vibe. It was never about their line sister and how I felt, my feelings and what I was going through. It was always about how we looked to the outside world. That was more important than anything. And you're about to see that with these 3 specific instances that I'm about to tell you, the most traumatic 3 instances that happened. Okay, hold on. I don't think y'all understand. Like, me reliving this is bringing so much anxiety, sadness, and anger back to me. But I mean, that's good. That means that I'm healing, right? It's finally coming back up. And I just hope I don't cry. I gotta genuinely just hope I don't cry. Put a little lip gloss on some. Oh, too much. Too much. Let's breathe. Okay. Strike number 1. When we got offline, I found myself, and after the whole like lemon squeeze situation, and I was introduced into that. And let me also say, at the time, while I was online, I was dating this guy who was pledging Kappa at another school. And so he was sharing his experiences with me while we were both online. And I just got to tell you guys, I'm not going to share too much of his story because that's his story to tell. But for those of you who were wondering about the pledging process, and the problems that come along with it, for him, I remember they beat him so bad. One, he would come to me when we got to see each other very rarely, when his butt was blue and hard as a rock. Black, not even blue. It had like blue spots, purple spots, but it was mostly black. And it was hard as a rock. They were beating him so bad. They beat him so bad that his kidney started to fail. He got hospitalized. And the reason why I bring that up is because the man that I was dating going into the process was not the man who was on the other side. Going into it, he was the most loving, kind, like genuine, amazing guy. Like coming out of it, he was cold. And the reason why I say this is because it changes you. They say, well, if you don't know yourself, then you not going to change. It shouldn't change you. If it changed you, then you never knew yourself in the first place. These are 18, 19, 20-year-olds. What 18, 19, 20-year-old, especially in the Black community, knows themselves? Most of us come from trauma. But anyway, especially if I remember I had this, somebody told me when I was in high school, a teacher told me when I was in high school, it doesn't matter how strong a person is. If you put that person in a room with people telling them over and over again that they're crazy, over and over again, eventually he'll start to believe them. Same thing with pledging. I don't care how strong you are. If you have enough people that want to tear you down and ingrain and reprogram you, it will work. I don't care how strong you are. And he was one of the strongest people that I knew, and they broke him. They broke him. So coming off of line, right? Coming out of the experience, you're on the other side, and you're happy because you're a new member. So you're excited, but at the same time, you're also dealing with a lot of the emotions that you suppressed while you were caught up in the adrenaline and the excitement of being online. Now that it's over, you can finally have the time to sit with yourself long enough to realize, like, oh my God, that was a lot. That was a lot. So after I finally got the chance to sit with myself and recognize that this was a lot, my depression started to kick back in. I started to feel like I wasn't okay. And I didn't know how to process it. I didn't necessarily know how to talk. I didn't know what to do about it, right? Again, it was still stigmatized. I didn't know what to do about it. And I remember I reached out to my line sisters and I told them, hey, y'all, I just want everybody to know I can feel my depression coming back. And I'm sorry if I'm not as responsive or if I'm just like not there. I'm really trying to figure this out and work through this. And I would really love y'all's support and y'all's love through this journey as I figure it out. I sent that text to the entire line and everyone's responding. They're like, yeah, we got your back, girl. Like everything's good, blah, 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 blah. Positive, right? A few weeks later, so this is also around the time that we're organizing the chapter. We're getting to know each other's roles and everything like that. Signing up for positions and things like that. So one thing that I am, and if you know me, I am a dancer. I be dancing my ass off. I love dancing. I love choreographing. That is my jam. Okay. So the best way that I could feel like I could contribute to the line was with my ability to dance, with my ability to perform, with my ability to choreograph. That is my greatest strength. So that's the way that I want to contribute to this chapter. And y'all, I don't know if you've ever taken the DISC assessment, but I'm an I. And with I's, when it comes to leadership positions, if there are D's in the room, an I will step back and let the D's do it. Like the D's are the dominant people, the people who just have to be leaders, right? Eyes don't care about being a leader. We'll step up and be a leader if we have to, but we don't care about being a leader. We'd rather let other people handle it, right? So when it came to the positions, like the executive positions in the chapter, I let the D's have it. They were literally sitting there arguing over, I want this position, I want this, I want this. It took forever to make any type of decisions because people going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about little details over little shit that don't really matter. I didn't care enough. I didn't want to be one of those people to have one of those leadership positions when there are other people who wanted it more than I did, right? So I didn't sign up for any. I think I had one. I can't even remember the name of it. Oh, my foot's going to sleep. I can't even remember the name of it, but I had one leadership position. But it didn't require too much out of me. I wanted to play more of a support role. But one leadership position that I actually did want because I knew that I could definitely contribute to this was being the stroll master. So I asked my sisters because I didn't know how the stroll master was selected. It wasn't like an official cabinet position. So it wasn't something that we like voted on. So I just sent a message to, the group chat, to the line, and was like, hey, this is why I want to be stroll master. I genuinely believe that I would be great in this position. You guys seen, that I am a great dancer. I love choreographing. I've already put together like different strolls and stuff. And this is what I want. And people were texting back and it's like, yeah, girl, you can have it. Like, I have no objection. You can be the stroll master. Awesome. So I was like, bet, cool. I can be the stroll master. So for a few weeks, like me and a few of my other line sisters, we just kind of bounced between leading the line and stuff like that. And I had just knew that I was stroll master, right? Well, then all of this is going to come to a head. All of this is going to make sense. Then the Prophytes reached out to us and said that they're actually having an audition for duck team, which is the step team, and the stroll master and the step master positions. I was like, an audition? I thought that, we just amongst our line chose who the duck team and the step master and the stroll master were. But they wanted to have an audition. So I was like, okay, cool. So I went to this audition. I'm not going to cry. I went to this audition. And they were so mean to me, y'all. They were so mean to me. There were like maybe 10 of us that were auditioning. And they taught us a step. And they taught us a stroll, and they made us stroll. So when they were teaching us this step, right, they were going around, our Prophytes were individually going around and helping out my line sisters, like get some of the details. Like they were teaching them the details. None of my Prophytes came up to me. None of my Prophytes helped me in any way. So I was sitting there just watching them help others and getting the step. And because I'm such a great dancer, I got the step. They can't deny that, even without their help. I got the step. But then when we started to stroll, like they told us to get in the line and stroll, they pointed at me and laughed at me the entire time. And I mean blatantly, staring directly at me, pointing at me specifically. Why her hand looked like that? She looked so stupid. Why is she doing that wrong? That, like, literally. Talking so bad about every little thing that I was doing. Bullying me so bad, all of them. All of them. And what's crazy is that the advisor sat there and she said nothing. My line sister sat there and they said nothing. And then at the end of it, I was not given stroll master. And you know what sucks? That's not even the worst part. You want to know why they did that? One, I had to deal with that. I had to deal with how all of that felt while being embarrassed, being ridiculed. I had to deal with all of that. Feeling like my Prophytes just hated me and that they never wanted me to be a part of the line anyway. I had to deal with that. But then I didn't learn until months later. And I'm talking like 4, 5, 6 months later about from one of my pro fights that finally came to me and asked me. She came to me and she asked me, "Did you tell your sisters that if you didn't become Stroll Master that you would kill yourself?" What? What? Huh? Who said that? She said one of my line sisters went to the pro fights and said that I said that if I did not become Stroll Master, that I would take my own life. She said that I went on and on about how I was so depressed and about how y'all better make me Stroll Master. And what's crazy is the pro fights just took her word for it. And they humiliated me and took the one position away from me that I actually wanted. And then they dragged me for not having a leadership position, saying that I was a t-shirt wearer. I just wanted to do it for clout. All I want to do is stroll. All this stuff. They took the one leadership position that I knew that I could thrive in and that I was strong in away from me because I was vulnerable about my mental health issues. Once again. And instead of coming to me and asking me if that was the truth, or asking any of my line sisters if that was the truth, because after that pro fight told me, I went into the group chat and I was like, this is what I heard. This is what it said. I don't know who you are, who lied on me, but don't even tell me because I don't want to hate you. Even then, I gave them so much grace, so much love, and so much forgiveness. I said, please do not tell me who you are. Please, because I don't want to feel that way towards my line sister. And this is just strike one. Oh my God. Hold on, I need to. That's just strike one. Strike two. And I feel like strike two is the one that hurts the worst. Strike two is the one that really hurt. So, in high school, I had two friends. One of them ended up going to another school. And the other one, she came to the same school as I. And she actually ended up on the same line as I. So she is my line sister now. But literally within the first month of us being in college, she decided that she just randomly didn't want to be my friend anymore and just stopped talking to me. After being friends for over 4 years, she just stopped talking to me one day. Never gave me an explanation why. We were supposed to go to some party. And I was looking for I was driving around looking for the location of where the party was. And I'm on the phone with her trying to figure out where it is, or I'm texting her trying to figure out where it is, and she's not texting me back. And she sent me the wrong location. I told her that, and she was like, oh. And then after that, she just stopped talking to me. So, yeah, she ended up being my line sister. And y'all, I give so much grace, and I'm so forgiving. And I talked to her about that when we became line sisters, because I said, hey, I want to make sure we're line sisters and that's okay. Like, I want to make sure there's no bad blood between us. Like, I actually invited her to hang out sometimes. Like, I would drive her to places sometimes. Like, we carpooled together sometimes. Like, we genuinely, I tried to reconcile, and I tried to be her friend. I never had a problem with being her friend in the first place. And I never understood why she had a problem with being mine. But that's neither here or there. So, there was a situation with this one alpha. Um, this alpha was one of the alphas that I was friends with long before. One of the people that I'm grateful to that we had a close bond long before I pledged or was Miss Black and Gold or anything, right? And we had like talked every now and again, like we had dabbled in the idea of dating, but it was just never the right time. Like he was talking to somebody, I was talking to somebody. It was just never the right time. But we just always had this like this liking, this attraction to each other. And we still were just really good friends. We were just really close friends. So one day, he tells me that he loves me. And, you know, we're really good friends and he actually knows me for who I am. So like I believed him. Like I was like, wow, that's awesome. I mean, I was talking to somebody at the time, so I couldn't really say it back. But I was like, he actually really has feelings for me. Like he actually liked me. And the guy that I was talking to, we were on the downturn. This was my ex-boyfriend that pledged at the same time as me. We were on a down spiral anyway because things just weren't the same. So I was entertaining it, right? And me and this guy, we ended up sleeping together. It's one time. So me and my line sister, that was my friend back in high school, we were going to this Halloween party together, and I was carpooling, driving everybody. I was the DD. And she had gotten super drunk. And she was going on about how her and this guy were talking, and nobody knew. They kept it a secret. They didn't really tell anybody, but she was really liking him and all of that. And I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. So that night I ended up talking to him and telling him, that we need to tell her what's going on. And he said he would do it. He would tell her everything. He felt like it was his responsibility because he was the one who knew about both of us. So I was like, okay, I'll let you do it. So he went and talked to her. And something in me just told me that I needed to talk to her, even though he talked to her. So I invited her out to lunch. And we sat at lunch. We went to Panera. We sat there, and I'm literally shaking. We sat there, and I told her everything. Like literally from the beginnings of me and the guy's story about how we met and how he told me that he loved me and how we were so close and that we were friends and that like we genuinely liked each other, and that is why we decided to sleep together. He told her that it was random, that it was out of the blue, and that it didn't mean anything. And this is why I trusted myself to talk to her before, like regardless if he did, because he didn't tell the truth. But I told her the truth, and I let her know. I was like, look, me and him, like, we're better off as friends. Like, we had already concluded that we were better off as friends, that this is just not going to work, all of that. So I was like, if you truly, really do like him, then I want you to go for it. I want you to go for it. I want you guys to be together. If that's what y'all want, I want y'all to be together. I'm not going to get in the way of that. And I told her this. I took her to lunch. And I had this whole conversation with her. Was transparent about everything. Didn't hold anything back. Y'all, you know me. You know I don't hold shit back. I told her everything. Right? And here we go to one of our beautiful, fantastic lemon squeezes. Well, it was actually one of my line sister's birthdays, and we went out to eat, and it just happened to turn into a whole lemon squeeze, right? This was like a few weeks later. So I'm sitting at the dinner table, and I'm just eating my food, and my line sisters are literally fighting, like yelling at each other across the table. It's getting heated. Everybody's angry. I had finished my food. I had paid. So I got up, and I was like, okay, since this is not about me, I'm going to excuse myself and go home. Because it had already been hours. Like, I didn't want to be there anymore, especially because it had nothing to do with me. And one of my line sisters stood up and she was like, "Nah, Lania, you not finna leave because what you did to our other line sister, that was messed up. That was wrong. Blah, blah, blah." I'm like, what are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? What do you mean what I did to my other line sister? Like, we already talked about that. Like, I took her out to lunch. We already had an individual conversation about this. We discussed this. I'm confused. What's the problem? So I was just like, F all y'all, I'm leaving. So I got in my car and I left, right? And as I'm driving home, they're blowing up my phone. Texting me back to back to back. We pulling up. We behind you. Don't ignore us. Blah, 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 blah. Going in, right? So I was I had just started dating another guy. Just started talking to him. And he was supposed to come over that night. And I called him and I'm like, "Hey, I need you to get over here as soon as possible because I don't think I'm safe. I don't think I'm safe." Like, the aggression that they were coming at me with, I just could tell that I was not safe. I did not feel safe at all. So he went to my house. He got there before I did. And I got out my car and I ran. Like, I ran into my apartment and I closed the door, locked the door, and I ran downstairs into my bedroom and I closed the door and I'm with him and I'm literally shaking, having an anxiety attack because I'm wondering what the hell they about to do. When I tell you 4 or 5 cars pulled up in front of my apartment. They're beating on my window, telling me to let them in. They want to talk. All this, right? And I just turned my phone off and I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, he's just holding me and I'm literally sitting there shaking, hyperventilating, like terrified, right? And they were out there for like 30 minutes to an hour trying to get in. So one thing that I didn't notice is that my back door was unlocked. And like, the back door, you have to walk all the way around the building, like through some grass, some high grass and some wooded type area to get onto the back porch to come into the back door. They did that, came in through the back door. Luckily, my roommate was there. Shout out to you. And she had a taser. So when they opened that back door, she was like, "Y'all better get the fuck out of our house." And was like threatening to tase them. So they ended up leaving. And a few days later, we had a chapter meeting. And I just knew what this chapter meeting was going to be. I knew what it was going to be. And I walked into the chapter meeting and the advisor, the first thing she says is, "Lania, why you take so-and-so man? Why are you trying to sleep with so-and-so man?" Huh? What? I don't know what this girl has been telling the rest of our line. I still don't know what story she told to them. No earthly idea. No clue. But apparently I was now this evil person that just wanted to embarrass the chapter by sleeping with my line sister's man. And even though I literally took her to lunch and I had a very transparent, specific conversation, I left her open to ask any questions, anything, where I tried to squash all of this. Still, I was painted as a bad guy. And now I have a room full of angry girls cussing me out, not asking for my side of the story. I want to say that over again. Not asking for my side of the story, just cussing me out because they took her side of the story and they ran with it. Pulled up to my house to do what? To gang up on me, to cuss me out in my own home, my own sanctuary? Y'all were literally fighting at the restaurant about something that had nothing to do with me. And why now all of a sudden that doesn't matter? Let's all drive to Lania's house and gang up on her. Oh my God. And things what's crazy is that there were a couple of my line sisters, and y'all know who you are. And I mean literally a couple that reached out to me and asked for my side of the story. And I told them my side of the story. But everybody else, I was just like, F y'all. Y'all don't want to hear what I have to say. Y'all would rather paint me as the enemy and paint her as the victim because it is convenient for you. It is convenient for you guys to take all of your attention and your animosity that you have towards each other out on me over a situation that don't even require that. So you know what? F y'all. F it. I'm done trying to explain myself to people who don't want to listen. So things were just never the same after that. And that's just strike 2. Strike 3. When I tell y'all, after this is over, I'm finna go roll me the fattest blunt. Like, it's Friday. I don't want nobody to talk to me. I'm finna go roll the fattest blunt and just cry. Just fucking cry. I can't even do nothing but laugh because it's just so ridiculous. All of it is so ridiculous. Like, looking back as an adult now who understands my worth, who understands and appreciates my own voice, and who has the self-confidence and the self-love now, all this stuff is so ridiculous. But I just want to remind you guys before I get into the third strike that these were the only friends I had. They literally took me away from my friends and convinced me that all I had was my sisters, that the only people that I could talk to, the only people I could confide in was my sisters, or else I would be crucified for it. So these were the only women that I was allowed to trust, the only women that I was allowed to confide in. And these were the same women that tore me down, who villainized me, who did not care about my voice, about my opinion, about my feelings, about my perspective, nothing. If that's not an abusive relationship, I don't know what is. That sounds just like my ex. It's like I got out of an abusive relationship and got back into another one with 25 girls. And that's not including my pro fights. And again, these are just the 3 strikes. This isn't all of the lemon squeezes in between. This isn't all of the lemon squeezes in between, where I was dragged, where I was yelled at, where I was insulted, where I was called all types of names, where I was discouraged from being myself, from speaking to anybody, to doing anything, where I was convinced that I was not allowed to be me because it could potentially make the chapter look bad. Now I want y'all to know, why would I ever intentionally try to make the chapter look bad? I was uneducated. I didn't know shit about shit. I didn't grow up with Greek people in my life. So I never ever had intentions of embarrassing anyone, of hurting anyone, of like, why would I try to make the chapter look bad? Let's just start there. And even though I did not have negative intentions, even though I wasn't trying to make the chapter look bad, they treated me like I had negative intentions. They treated me like I was a villain that had it out for the chapter to try to get the chapter shut down or something. All I wanted was sisterhood. All I wanted was love, bro. Like, anyway, strike 3. This was actually, oh, my ankle. Ooh, hold on. I've been sitting here for too long. Let me reorganize my legs. Strike 3. This actually happened after I graduated. This was before I got engaged to my husband. Maybe like a month before. Me and my husband had, or me and he was my boyfriend at the time, but we had a podcast. And this was 2022. I graduated in 2019, to give you context. I graduated in 2019. So this was in 2022. And from 2019 to 2022, I still tried to be active. Like, I tried to be there for the NEOs, and I traveled back to campus every now and again to help out with bringing the NEOs on. And, I was still involved in certain conversations and stuff like that. I was still dealing with the BS. Even after the first 2 strikes, I was still putting it on myself. I was still like, well, maybe I just need to show them that I can be a great sister, that I can be a great member. They convinced me that all of this was my fault. They convinced me that everything was my fault, that I was the one that was being unsisterly, that I was the one that wasn't down for the chapter, that wasn't being helpful. So I tried to compensate by being there even after I graduated and being involved in helping the NEOs come through. But yeah, in 2022, there was a moment on the podcast where I just mentioned how I felt like Greek life only taught me about social politics. Like, it only taught me how to hide myself in order to make the chapter look the best. And that the men were taught how to disrespect women and sleep with as many women as possible. And for the women, it was just all about, being the most popular, being the mean girl type. Like, I was just opening up about that because that was the truth. That was the truth. Like, and once again, so many people reached out to me and they agreed with me. That's what their experience was like too. But man, oh man, my line sisters were not happy. They were not happy at all. After I posted that video in the group chat, it was, you don't love yourself. You should denounce. Go ahead and send me all these letters. You are an embarrassment to our chapter. You trying to get us shut down. You are so selfish. You are so, like, literally invalidating my experience. All the times that we were there for you, we gave you a sash and a crown. After I lost the pageant, they gave me a sash and a crown. They love to hold that over my head. They got one specially made for me. Look, the way that I look at that is, my ex bought me flowers. My abusive ex used to buy me flowers and teddy bears after he hit me. But did that invalidate the fact that he hit me? Okay. You should never pledge because you didn't know yourself. Going back to, did any of y'all really know yourself? At the end of the day, you were either one of 3 people in the chapter. You were either the bully, the bystander, or the person getting bullied. No in between. No in between. So yeah. I feel like the people who actually had a great experience within Delta or within any type of Greek organization, was either the bully or the bystander, the person that completely just removed themselves from the situation and, put everybody at a distance. Those are the people that are still happy and still love the organization. But that's neither here or there. It is what it is. But just going in on me. Even the sisters that I thought were my friends, even the sisters that I had invited over my house and who had met my husband like recently, like within the past 3 months when that happened, they were in there ganging up on me too, calling me all types of names. Oh my God. I wish I don't even have the text messages to show y'all, but when I tell you it was bad, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And after that, like, my husband actually ended up reaching out to one of my line sisters and invited them to the engagement party. Told them to invite the line to the engagement party. Nobody came. Not a single one of my line sisters came. Not even the ones who agreed with me in that they had a bad experience. Not even the ones that reached out to me and was like, I hear you, I got you. Like, let me also say that they reached out to me privately, not in the group chat, privately. Because you don't want to show that you're on Lania's side publicly. Nah, I can't do that. But not a single one of them showed up. And that's when I learned that y'all don't love me. I'm not y'all's sister. And on my birthday that year, I left the group chat and I ain't talked to them since. That was my 25th birthday. That was 3 years ago. I'm about to celebrate my 28th. Yeah. That's when I learned that y'all care more about how y'all appear to the outside world. Because that was their main argument was, you gonna get the chapter shut down. You gonna get the chapter shut down. Blah, 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 blah. You trying to, make it seem like we just the worst. But like, if me telling the truth gets the chapter shut down, then maybe the chapter needs to be shut down. Just a thought. Just food for thought. Like, for me, if a chapter is getting shut down, that means that you are not upholding the standards of the organization. And if you are not upholding the standards of the organization, then maybe you deserve to get shut down. I'm not the only one. I want you to recognize I have prophytes, people who were in the chapter before me, who reached out to me and told me that they had a similar experience to mine. I have neos that have reached out to me and told me that they had similar experiences to mine. My immediate check, on the line right after me, she denounced. Not because of me. I barely even talked to her. Like, I've talked to her maybe 4 or 5 times in my entire life, and because I didn't really know her. I had graduated by the time she came through. And even then, it wasn't necessarily about like, oh, this was my negative experience. I never discouraged her from it. She decided on her own to denounce. I found out through the grapevine that she denounced. So it's not just me. It's not just me. This is a culture thing. This is a culture problem of where they put the image. They have to appear pristine and put together so that they can trick more people into joining. That is the most sacred trust, right? You're supposed to add members to the organization. That is what you're supposed to do. But they're not telling the truth. Aren't you supposed to add members from a place of they know what they're getting into? And this is why I'm here. I want more people to become deltas. Like, sure, do, if that's what you want, then that's what you want. But at least know what you're getting into. And know the truth. Know what to look for. And that's what I want to talk about is the red flags. One, they were assholes. And that should have been my main red flag. The deltas treated me like crap. And I know that might be the culture, or that's just the rules and that's how it's supposed to be. Don't fall for that. If they treat you like crap before, they're going to treat you like crap during, and they're going to treat you like crap after. It's just that mean girl persona, bro. Like, it's just, that's just what they do. The second red flag is if you can tell that all they care about is their image more than anything, run. And I'm not saying all the organizations do. Like the Sigmas on our campus, I love them. Like all the even the Alphas have come to me and told me that they had a terrible experience as well. But the Sigmas, they didn't bother nobody. Everyone used to talk about them like they were lame or whatever. But they were just so goofy and so themselves, so weird, so different. And they were just like, they just did their own thing. Like they put on the events, but they didn't care about being the best. They performed at yard shows, but they didn't care about dissing other organizations or looking the best or having the best performance. Like they just cared about being themselves and having fun. And that's the type of organization that I would encourage people to join. If you look at its members and they're genuinely like cool people, like they actually talk to you, they actually come up to you, they're actually nice to you, you know, and they act like not just on the surface, but underneath it, they actually act like brothers and sisters, actually act like siblings, like they love each other and that they're not worried about what other people think about them. That's the type of organization to join. Because that's the type of organization that's going to put the love first, not the image. I joined an organization, or maybe it was the chapter, I don't know. Whatever it is, I joined people that put the image before the love. And boy, did I feel it. And then the third red flag, I feel like someone like me was never meant to fit into the Greek structure at all. One thing that I've learned about myself over these years is that I speak truth. That is my power. My voice is my power. I am honest. I am transparent. I don't hold anything back. I speak up about what I'm going through because I'm trying to help other people while also trying to heal myself. I have a bigger vision and a bigger mission over my life. My whole mission is to help people heal. It's to help people heal and then to also heal myself to help more people heal. I was never meant to fit inside of a box. I was never meant to try to change they say don't let it change you, but that's stupid. It's going to change you. They're literally trying to change you. They always said, we're trying to break you down to rebuild you into the image of Delta. They're literally trying to change you. So don't let them fall for this and try to gaslight you into believing that the only reason why you changed is because you were weak in the first place. Their whole mission is to change you in the image of their organization. They've been doing this for generations. Do you think that you're just supposed to come in and be Superman and be unafflicted? Especially at 18, 19, 20, 21? That the logic just goes out the window with this stuff. I don't get it, bro. But like, I was just never meant to fit in. And if you know that you're not meant to fit in, you know that you're someone who's meant to stand out, please do not get into a position where they're going to try to beat you into a round hole and you a square peg. You will end up damaged trying to fit yourself into places where you just don't fit. And the thing is, I wasn't a mean girl. I wasn't the type to put my social status or my popularity above anything else. I honored my feelings. I honored my truth. I wasn't the type to keep a bunch of secrets just to save face. I'm not a secretive person. I don't even have secrets. I'm not the type to be a secretive person. It was cute. I had fun. When I had fun, they love to throw in my face, you always talk about the bad stuff, but you never talk about the good times. Well, the good times, I did have fun. I had fun sometimes. There were times where I genuinely felt like I had sisters. There were times when I got to perform on stages, and I love performing. I love dancing. There were times where I actually got to I got to host my own dance class one time. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Um, and it was also fun to be the sister to my neos that I never got in a pro fight. Um, like there are certain neos that I have where my sisters did not like them for a petty reason, for no reason whatsoever at all, just like how my pro fights did to me. They just picked somebody who they just, I just don't like her. Even though she has a great GPA, she's super involved. She says that she wants to literally change the world. There was one girl that came in there that said she wanted to cure cancer. She wanted to cure cancer. And my line sisters were like, I just don't like her. What? And I came in the group chat like, this girl just said she wanted to cure cancer and you don't want her to be a part of our organization? What? And I got crucified for that. They dragged me, but she did this, blah, 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 blah. I wish I could roll my eyes harder. But I appreciated that I could be a voice for the voiceless. That for the girls who are actually amazing people that deserved to be a part of the organization, not because of social standing, not because they kissed the butt of enough members, but because they were actually upstanding human beings that were making a change in the world and in the community. I was able to stand up for them and vouch for them. And when the time came around for them to be deltas, I stood 10 toes down for them. And they're my neos now. So I'm grateful for those times. I'm grateful for certain moments. I do have a couple of line sisters that I actually consider to be friends. Shout out to y'all. I'm gonna be visiting soon. I just gotta catch a flight down there. So that was a beautiful thing that came out of it. And it wasn't until recently that we just reconnected. And I hope that maybe I can reconnect with more of my line sisters. Because the reality is when you're in it and it's a lot of groupthink going on, it's hard to distinguish who are your friends and who's not, especially if nobody's talking. Right? Like all you can see is that you're being attacked and nobody's saying anything. So you kind of like lose sight of who your true friends are. But these two women in particular, they were two women that I remember vividly standing up for me at certain periods. And I'm got my roll dogs. I really appreciate them. But I'm sure that there are other line sisters in the mix that we never even really just got a chance to get to know each other and grow together because there was just so much BS going on that I was blind to the actual people that I could connect with and love. Because I just felt so attacked and so singled out that I just pushed away everybody. So, wrapping this up. Once again, if this made you feel any type of way, respectfully, fuck you. And your feelings. And your feelings, because that's what you said to me. That's what you said to me and my feelings. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. If you want to share your story, go make a YouTube video about it. That's what I did. So, if you want to share your truth, if you feel like that's that important to you, to respond to me, to shame me, do it out for everybody to see. Just don't come to me. Don't text me. Don't call me. I don't care. It's not going to benefit either of us in any way. So, if you don't want to see and hear me, stay away from me. But to all of you out there who are considering pledging, I hope that this was helpful to you. For all of the people that were out there that have pledged and who had a bad experience, I hope this helps you heal. I hope this gives you the courage to speak up. Because at the end of the day, our organizations were started to make change and to do something beautiful within the Black community. It's just that it has been tainted. It has been tainted by the wrong people, by individuals who only sought to be in the organization for themselves and not for the greater good and not for their sisters or their brothers, but for themselves. And if we really want to change the organization, then the only thing that we can do is speak out. That's the only way that the organizations will ever be, if there's ever a chance for them to go back to the glory of why they were created in the first place, is us who had terrible experiences speaking out, but so many of us just decided to abandon the organization altogether, which is completely valid. I'm still at that place. I'm still at that place myself, and I don't even know if I want to be back involved. But I hope this was helpful in you coming to whatever conclusion you decide to make. But anyway, I love you guys. Talk to you later.